Alright, we're going to take this centrifugal clutch off here. It's an 1 1/16 socket. Pull that off, and then this will just slide off. Now sometimes these get stuck and you use a puller, or you can flip the engine on its side and tap on this and everything will come out together. So that's the centrifugal clutch there. It's got a one-way bearing in here that comes out, and this will just come out with your hands there. And that'll allow that clutch to spin one way and not the other. You don't want this to have any grooving, very minimal if any. And then this clutch, here's your clutch basket here. This will just pull off just like that. And so just the shift linkage there. And we'll pull that clutch basket. All right, 10mm bolts there, 4 of them. You know, loosen them up because they're spring loaded. So don't do each one all at once. Alright, and then you'll pull this plate off here. And then there's your springs. Those all 4 will come off. Use the 1 1/16 again. That'll spin right off of there. Take this nut off, and that'll allow you to lift this lift this clutch basket out of there. Put these springs and the plate back on there to keep them all together. When the plate is on there, it allows you to pull these all out together. If you don't have the plate on there and the springs, they will not come out together. This sits on the back of the basket here. It just slides in there. And then this sits on the back of the centrifugal clutch. Back here there. Here's your cam sprocket, and your cam chain. These are tensioners here and guides. So here's your tensioner. And here's your guides. And those will all just come out with a 10mm socket. This is your oil pump here. There's your oil pump. There's a gear that sits on behind there. This guide for the cam chain. Again, tensioner. Another guide, cam chain. We'll pull that cam sprocket off. There's a sprocket then we can take that cam chain off. So there's that there. Here's a 12mm bolt that holds that cam into place. And I'll just pull out there. Now there's caps down here that'll keep that cam from pulling right out. So if you turn that cam chain or that cam shaft, you'll be able to slide it right out. We'll pull this shift mechanism off. $10mm there. We'll move this spring out of the way and pull that off. And all this will slide. You want to keep this all together. There's several different spring-loaded pieces in here. And then here's your shift star. There's a little pin that goes all the way through here, and it sits in that groove there that you can see daylight through. Now, this shift drum will stay in until we pull the case apart. All right, now we'll flip. We'll take these two 10 millimeters off right in here since we're there, and we'll flip. Okay, here's the recoil starter we've already pulled off, and we'll pull this cup, this recoil gear off. 19 millimeter bolt here. We'll slide this all up. Here's the cup, the recoil cup. Okay, then we'll pull the stator cover off. Again, 10 millimeter bolts. That gasket area. This is magnetic, so there'll be some pressure getting that off. There's the stator there. And here's the flywheel. Here's a couple idler gears for the starter. Pull these off so we can get the flywheel out of there. The flywheel rotor. Here's one of the output shafts here. Here's the reverse lever. We can take that off of the 10 millimeter. We'll keep this and put this back on the arm that runs through there. Here's a sensor that we'll pull off now. Just a suction cap deal. It's a sensor that sits on the bottom of the case. Take a 17 millimeter and pull that sensor off. Okay, now we'll pull this cover off, and we'll be able to get to this flywheel a little bit better. If you're just replacing the flywheel, you can just take this cover off here or the stator. But since we're taking the engine all the way down, we'll just do this now. Pull the flywheel here in a little bit. Again, 10 millimeter bolts all the way around this cover. And what I do is take a little bit of pressure, put it on there, and then tap on the cover. You don't want to hit it too hard so that you break it, but once it breaks free from that gasket, then it lifts off fairly easily. Alright, then there's that cover there. Got a sensor on the back side here. There's your oil dipstick. Here's that output shaft that we saw earlier. And that reverse lever here. If you go and pry behind this lever here, you can get it free and then lift up, and that lever will come out. That's where this reverse arm came from. Pull this gear off because we'll need to, when we take the case apart, this will go all the way through. Here's your shift shaft here. Now to take the shift shaft out, you're going to need to take this 10 millimeter bolt off. This has got a pin on the end of it that holds that shifter from moving. Now when we pull this apart, there's an arm here that'll fall down, so we can wait and do that later, or we can grab a magnet. See if we can hold that there. And there's the arm there. There is an indentation there, and then there's a spot right here on this arm that those two will go together. So it won't allow you to put that in the wrong spot, because when you put that shifter on, you want to make sure you're actually shifting. Okay, and then this engine holder here, we'll pull that off. That'll slide right off.